So you just landed an interview at your dream job and now you're like, yes, I need to pass this interview, but how can I statistically guarantee that I'll pass this interview? Well, my friend, it's all in the preparation. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 strategies you can use in your preparation to help you almost statistically guarantee that you pass that interview. Alright, strategy number 1. Now here's the thing. I can sit here and give you all the hardest interview questions you'll ever be asked and give you all the right formulas and tactics and templates to answer every single interview question you might be asked in preparation for that interview you have coming up. But instead of doing all that, which is a lot of work, I'll do you one better. How about I give you all the questions that you're going to be asked for that specific interview you have coming up, and on top of that, how about I write out all the answers for you? How does that sound? Well, here's the thing. I can't technically do that. I mean, look at me. I'm talking to you from a YouTube video. However, I can get very close to pretty much spoon feeding you the actual interview answers you need for the job interview that you have coming up. How do you do that? Well, artificial intelligence. So here's the thing, using artificial intelligence, we can pretty much try to figure out based off the job description what interview questions we're going to be asked during our interview. And on top of that, we can feed it our resume and tell it to give us the exact answers for all those questions we're likely going to be asked. Let me show you how it works. All right, so over here, you see I have ChatGPT on my right. I have the Pro plan, so I have access to GPT-4, which I think maybe you should have, whatever. And on my left here is my resume. Now, disclaimer, I totally changed the address and phone number and all that, so all you creepy people, stay away from me, because I live in Elmo Street. And over here, I have a job description. So over here on the right, you can see strategist lifecycle marketing. And now this is what we want to do. Assuming we got an interview for this role right here, this lifecycle marketing strategist role. So first start off by copying all the details for the job description, okay? Go to ChatGPT and say the following. I have an interview for a job. This is the job description. And you paste in the job description. And then what you say is, save this and wait for my next prompt. Okay, this is key. You have to say, save this and wait for my next prompt. All right, now what we're gonna do is go on our resume here, copy it, basically Command A, and then over here say, this is my resume. And then paste it. Save this and wait for my next prompt. I cannot spell. All right, great. So at this point, ChatGPT has saved the job ad that we landed an interview for. And on top of that, it also saved our resume. And then what you want to type here is this. Based on the job I'm trying to apply to, which I gave you the job description for, and my resume, list the top 5 questions I'll most likely get asked during my interview for this role, and provide me answers I can use based off my resume. Make sure to include stats, numbers, examples, and results. All right, and then we're gonna hit enter and see what it produces. All right, so right away here you can see, right? So can you tell us about your experience with managing HubSpot and Salesforce instances? And it literally gives me the exact answer. In my previous role at Power Search and ClearState, I managed HubSpot email marketing for multiple clients and maintained the health of HubSpot CRM, handled HubSpot for over 5 clients, constantly optimizing strategies, blah, 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 okay? Here's another sample question I might get asked for this interview. What experience do you have with lifecycle marketing, especially in terms of improving the customer journey and generating leads? And then I built a lifecycle, I implemented blah, 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 which ended up getting a 50% open rate, 1 to 10% reply rate, and lead generation by 70%, blah, 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 right? It's giving me all the answers I need for me. And the great thing is that these are like very niche technical questions, right? Like, what experience do you have with lifecycle marketing, especially in terms of improving the customer journey and generating leads? Like, this goes beyond just the tell me about yourself type of question, right? Like, very technical questions I might get asked and the answers to the technical questions. The key here, though, is obviously you have to have a really good resume so that you feed it some good stuff. So that's the caveat. All right, so that's how you can pretty much predict what questions they're going to be asking you for the interview and how to know what to say for each of the questions. And then artificial intelligence will pretty much do all the rest for you. Now, obviously, you probably have like generic questions like, oh, tell me about yourself. We can also ask ChatGPT to answer the question for us. So here you can see, based on my resume, can you answer the question, tell me about yourself? Make sure the answer you provide will get me the job. All right, let's see what it comes. Here's a possible answer to tell me about yourself. And then from here, we can get a little more creative. Can you make it a little shorter? And then we press enter, and then it just makes it shorter for us. So there you go. Instead of giving you every question that you can possibly get asked, including templated answers, and then you spend hours and hours just preparing and sitting in your room trying to figure out every answer, I just did the work for you. Or not me, but artificial intelligence did. So at this point, you know the questions they're going to be asking you for the interview, and on top of that, you have your answers ready. Here are a few other things you need to include in your preparation that'll, again, statistically guarantee that you most likely will pass the interview. Strategy number 2. Here's what you need to know. This is gonna sound dumb and kind of sad, but recruiters, hiring managers, they don't just hire you based on how good you are with your skill set. They also hire you based on, yo, do I actually like this person? Like, are they fun to be around? And the odds are they're probably gonna choose someone who's more fun than someone who's qualified but doesn't look like a good cultural fit. So given that, how can we prepare for that? Well, a few things, okay? First, now assuming you have a virtual interview coming up and it's at 2 o'clock, you wanna be there for 1:55. 5 minutes before, and you're probably gonna be waiting in the waiting room. And this is what I want you to do. I want you to wait, and you have to be the first one in the room. And then the second you see the recruiter's name and like the loading screen kind of loading up, you look at the camera and you just smile. You smile. Like that. Kind of cheesy, yeah, I know. But you just smile, and then as soon as you see a little more of the loading coming up and they're about to come on, just be like, hi, Sarah. Hi, Edward. Hi, John. You have to set the tone as soon as you jump in the interview. I do freelance marketing. I jump on sales calls with clients all the time. This is the game changer. A lot of people will go on the call nervous. Oh my God. And hi, I'm good. I'm good. Right? And then they just look like a freaking stiff robot. You are not going to be like that. You're going to look at the camera as soon as they come in. Hey, Sarah, how are you? Right? Smile and just look. You, my friend, set the tone for the interview. You kind of take control of the frame. This is not just an interview. It's almost like a negotiation of some sort. And if you ever read the book by Chris Voss, you must control the frame. And how you control the frame is be the first one to talk, smile, and say, hi, Sarah, are you there? Something as simple as that. Next, and this is gonna sound so dumb, but it makes a big difference. And here's what you need to know. Actually have an answer to the question, how are you? Do not just say, I'm good, you? I'm good, you? I'm good, you? Do not do that. Because when they're asking, hi, how are you? You again get to set the tone. They're giving you permission to set the tone on that call. When they ask me, hey, Alif, how are you? I usually like to say things like, I'm good. I actually just took a salsa class this yesterday night and my body's pretty sore. Have you actually tried salsa yourself? And then what happens, you just watch their face light up. Oh my God, let me tell you, this past weekend I actually did salsa. It was wild. Oh, no way. Is that salsa or are you more of a merengue person? Personally, I do merengue more and bachata. Don't get me started on bachata. Oh yeah, let me tell you, bachata is the best. You're laughing, you're giggling, ha ha ha. And then the stakes of the entire interview just feels a lot less. The stress is a lot less. They feel loose. You feel loose. And now you've set the tone for a fun, casual conversation rather than a hardcore grill in your face type of interview. So again, in your preparation, my friend, always have an answer to the question, how are you? Next, you know how in most job interviews near the end, they ask you something like, oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Now I want to flip it on to you. Do you have any questions for me? Right? When the recruiter is asking you, do you have any questions for me? They're not really asking you, do you have questions for me? What they're really asking you is, did you actually take the time to research and study this role that you're trying to get into? And are you able to formulate a smart question that'll show to me that you're a good fit for this role? That's what they're really asking you. You see, my friend, you have to sell yourself through the question. Just because they ask you, do you have any questions for me, doesn't necessarily mean you just ask a generic question. You cannot waste this opportunity. This is the last bullet that you have in your gun in this interview process, and you need to make it worth it. So let me walk you through like a bad question to ask and a good question to ask. A bad question to ask is this. Yeah, so what's the culture like? Now, you might think that's a good answer, but really what that says is, oh, instead of going on Glassdoor and your website and seeing your career pages and looking at people on LinkedIn, I did not do any of that. So can you just spoon feed me what the culture is like? Again, it's a very Googleable question that you asked. You don't want to do Googleable questions. You want to do smart questions. Let me give you an example of a smart question to ask. Yeah, I do have one question. I spoke to a couple of team members and I was doing a bit of research online, and I noticed that your company isn't running any paid media ads recently. I know a lot of competitors, especially in your niche, actually do run a lot of paid media ads. Is there a strategic reason why you guys decided not to do paid media ads? I'm just curious. And you just sit there in silence and you just wait for the recruiter to just, if they can even answer your question. And if they can, holy shit. And if they can't, even better. Because what you're telling them is you've done your research, you know what you're talking about, and you're actually curious about the space in this company and what you're trying to get into. So you see, a bad question is one that can be easily Googled, and a good one is one that actually has a lot of depth. And you, being the killer that you are, you're gonna be over here. You're not going to be this dumb, Googleable, what the culture like type of person. No, that's not you. If you're watching this show, that's not you. You're over here. You have depth. You have research. You're smart. You're analytical. You're curious as a person. And this is where I want you to play. All right, strategy number 4. You know, you'll probably get asked, why do you want to work here, right? And let me tell you, I used to be a recruiter, and I would be doing high volume interview screens for a very, very notable banking company here in Toronto. Oftentimes, when I'm interviewing people, I always ask them, why do you want to work here? And I can tell you, my bullshit radar is like so, I pick on when someone's just saying something for the hell of it. Like, I pick on so good. They'll say things like, it is a well-renowned financial institution, and hence I see myself growing in this company. And I'm like, all right, you just read the website. Like, clearly you didn't care. You don't care about this job. This is just something to pay your bills so you can leave, right? And though that's fair, you just want to pay your bills because that's why we're technically working. But me as a recruiter, I have a hiring manager I need to report to, and they want me to bring them really good, qualified candidates that actually want this job. And so if I put you in front of them, that'll make me, the recruiter, look bad, and I care about myself more than you, and so I don't want to look bad. So based off that answer, I'm not going to move forward with you. Do you understand the psychology behind this whole thing? So what is a good answer to a question like, why do you want to work here? A good answer shows a lot more depth and an innate personal alignment for the company and the role. For example, I'll give you a dramatic one just to illustrate the point. Assuming you're interviewing with a big bank financial institution. So the reason why I'd like to apply for this role specifically with this company is because growing up, my family always had a lot of financial hardship. And this was hard on me when I was a kid growing up in Toronto, especially being children to immigrant family. Then one day, my family decided to book an advising session with your organization, with one of your reps actually, and a year later after that session, I noticed my family being a lot happier. And so I was asking them, why are you guys so much more happier compared to last year? And they say, well, we are paying our bills on time, we're reducing our debt, and we're just much more happier. And it was at that moment I realized I wanted to become a finance rep at your organization, and hence I'm applying for this role. All right, so that's a very extreme example, but you can see there's a lot of personal alignment within the role and the vision and the values of the company. Let me give you a simpler one, okay? Let's assume you're interviewing at an ed tech company, so an education software company. You can say something like, yeah, so the reason why I got really excited about this role is because I noticed based off your website that your organization does a lot of work around educating students and preparing them for the real world or the workforce. And it's funny because I actually make a lot of videos on my YouTube channel where I teach students professional skill sets they need to excel in the workspace, in the workforce. And so, given what you folks are doing, given my passion for helping students get ready for their future careers, I naturally saw myself being a good fit for this role. Hence, I'm applying for this position. So again, you can see personal alignment for the role. I'm trying to do this and you doing this, boom, we match, and therefore I'm applying for the job. That's what you want to do. And strategy number 5, lastly, you have to understand this whole conversation you're having with the recruiter, the hiring manager, this interview, what it really is, and this is how I need you to see it, is it's an assessment of fit. They are a business entity and they are hiring a person because there's a gap within their organizational function, whatever you might call it, and they just need someone to come in and bloop, put them in there, and then that gap can be filled. Your job during the interview is to position yourself as the best candidate to fill in that gap. So no matter what question they ask you during the interview, you always want to tailor it to the role, because the more tailored you can make yourself look as the best filler for that gap, the better. So what do I mean by this? Let's go through some examples. So let's say you're interviewing for a email marketing position. And they ask you, can you tell me a little bit about your marketing experience? Do not go off and tell them about how you started a podcast and a YouTube, and then, you love to do influencer marketing and you see Mr. Beast and one day you want to be a content creator and how that inspires you to become more of like a marketer. Though you're talking about marketing, right, which is not bad, you're still not tailoring your answer for what they're looking for. Instead, a better answer would be you telling them about specifically how much email marketing experience you have, how much results you were able to deliver in your last role, why you love email marketing, what got you into it, and what sort of projects you can start in that role if you were hired on the spot. Again, tailor it to the role that you are trying to get into. Do not talk about anything else. Even when they ask you, tell me about your career, you want to tailor that to the role you're getting to. For example, if I'm getting interviewed for an email marketing manager position, I would say something of the following. My career actually started in general content marketing roles where I was more of a coordinator under a head of marketing. And I would do things like podcasts, YouTube, blogs, and whatnot. But I started really falling in love with email marketing. I don't know, there's just something about writing really good persuasive copy, sending it out, and then seeing the numbers and then optimizing A/B tests and making it better. I just started falling in love with that process. So in that moment, I decided, hey, I'm gonna niche down and double down on email marketing for the rest of my marketing career. Since then, I've worked in a lot of lifecycle marketing roles and automation roles. I've worked in-house. I've also worked at agencies and on a freelance capacity. Some of the key results I was able to bring my last clients and jobs was that I was able to help my last client actually increase the number of leads they got per month by 70%. I've also worked with a lot of coaching clients. And for this one coaching client, I developed an email sequence that ended up getting them 15 sales calls within just 1 hour after our launch. It's pretty cool, right? So I'm really excited about email marketing, and so hence, given my collective experience with email marketing, I think I'd be a good fit for this role. You see how everything is sort of tailored towards email. That, my friend, is what you gotta do. And because you stuck around to the end, I'm gonna give you a bonus tip, okay? And it's okay to do this because I have done this a number of times. It's okay during the interview when they ask you a question to reply back with, that is a great question, Mr. Interviewer. Can you actually give me a quick second to think of a good answer for this question? Is that okay with you? And they will say, yeah, no worries, take a second for yourself. And it is completely okay to do that, especially if you need a second to think about an answer. I have done this a number of times and it's not awkward, it's not weird at all. And there you have it. If you use these tactics I outlined in this video, you're statistically more likely to pass that job interview that you have coming up. If you like more digital marketing tactics like this, send to your YouTube home feed, subscribe to this channel because this is the place to be for all things digital marketing. I'll see you, my friend, in the next video. Peace, peace, peace.